Hello, everyone. I automatically look to the light just because it makes me look better. It's Jonathan Sheffield coming back to you again with another episode of Can We Talk? So, on this episode, I want to talk about something that's important to me, anyways, which is all my life I have been a dreamer and I have wanted to believe in positivity, but I have this struggle inside of me. And it is the struggle to feel waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for everything to fall apart. I'm dramatic, if you haven't noticed. I grew up a very emotional, teenager. I was a singer-songwriter. I didn't filter things that came into me. I didn't know how to take care of myself that way, so I would get hit hard by outside forces a lot. And I didn't, and I think I did it because I didn't really know how to care for myself in that aspect. And I wanted to talk a little now, as we're all still dealing with, especially if you're in like Washington, New York, Oregon, California, and a bunch of other states, we are still in our safe in place order for about another month. That can really get to you. It's hard enough, as I've talked in the past, about how do we stay strong, how do we stay motivated, how do we not get down in the dumps, because it's very easy, especially if you're an emotional individual. Um, and then what happens if you're already battling the normal sucky stuff that's going on with the fears, and then other things that aren't exactly the most positive pile up? To me, I tend to buckle under the pressure, become a basket case, hide in the corner. Just kidding. Not that bad, but pretty much mentally, that's exactly what it is. Well, recently, I have unfortunately had to do that. Look at this beautiful little wrapped arm. And this is really nice because I just changed the bandages, so it looks all, well, okay, so it doesn't look so nice on the elbow. Anyways, I ended up having to go to the ER in the midst of all of this. It was the last place I wanted to go. Um, but I've been there. I'm going to go there again tonight. This time by choice. Well, all of them were by choice. This time because I've been asked to go back because my own doctor won't see me other than on a camera, which makes sense, but we can't do a lot on the camera. So, anyways, this week I ended up having to go into the ER for a very scary infection in my elbow. It started out as bursitis. It ended up getting to be infected and ended up being a staph infection, which we all know is very dangerous. And I was told a million times by the doctor that it was. So, I assume that meant something. Anyways, they had put me on morphine, cut me open, all this stuff. Anyway, so I have this open wound under this that they just keep packed, not to get into gross details. They just keep packed with gauze, and then we have to take it out every few days, check it, go back in. So infection is going down, but it's still there. I'm on very high-powered antibiotics that make me not my best. We'll say that. It makes me very sick. Um, and that is a mental hit for someone like me and for so many. So, what happens when we're in the midst of all of this and then something else that's not even related is added on top of it, and it's not something that goes away quickly and you have to deal with it? If you're like me, that can get a little out of hand. And I thought, I want to talk about something that I haven't talked about probably in 20 years. 20 years ago, I coined a phrase called self is sacred. Um, this idea that we are allowed to care for ourselves. I think it's whispered throughout our culture, from the airplane where they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first because then you can help your child, things like that. And I started working in the spa industry in my 20s. And I remember realizing that people had a guilt when asking for a massage or when asking for a facial, when asking to have their nails done. There was a guilt that came with that. Even though it was something they enjoyed very much, it was something that they felt like they didn't have the right to ask for, especially in our culture where if you're not doing 100% for everyone else, you're going to get judged harsh. And I remember making it a pleasure, a pride I took into helping them understand that they had a right to pamper themselves. They had a right to take a moment out of life to give themselves something back that they enjoyed. I know moms, busy moms, deal with this a lot. It makes me think of my sister-in-law. They have kids. That's really rough. What I love about my sister is that she has a husband who supports her a bazillion percent. And she has learned to take time and say, I still give my family 120 million percent, but I'm going to need this time for a massage. This time I'm going to need it for me to have coffee with friends. And I think that's not something that's always easy for people. We judge ourselves, I think, in a preemptive way so that others don't judge us. So I started thinking about this idea of self is sacred, of realizing that we are our own temple. We are, I mean, people say that all the time. Listen, I don't live at the gym, obviously. So I mean it in a mental way. This is like the Can We Talk sessions are more like my mental workout to make my brain strong. And the body, we're going to have to deal with that later. But I'm much better at the mental workout. So what I was realizing is in these times, these uncertain times, when we add maybe other stressors on it, as we get closer, hopefully, to being able to come out of this uh, safe in place order, that means we have to start looking at life. Life after 2 months of reduced hours for some of us, of no hours for some of us, um, it's gonna be hard. And the more those thoughts seep in that, oh my gosh, how do I get out from under this pile of crap that I am now buried in financially and emotionally, it starts to feel more negative on top of it. So I wanted to talk about the things that I do. First of all, people tease me all the time. I've talked about it on this. Um, I give myself facials. I get a little face mask, things like that. There is some vanity in it, and I will be the first to say, and I won't apologize for it. It's part of every human spirit. So yeah, there's a part of that, but there's this other part that allows me to relax. It allows myself to give myself permission to do something that makes me feel rejuvenated. I think one of the things we need to remember is just like we talked about how when you get home at the end of a long day and your brain is not feeling its most strong or positive, how it's important to give the brain what it needs. Well, this is a very same extension, except it's taking you to a place that we don't like to go to, which is how do I spoil myself? How do I pamper myself? How do I refill that well inside of me without feeling that horrible label of selfish? Um, that label, I think we throw that word around so much that it can be so damaging when it could be farthest from the truth. So one of the things I try to practice is something every day that I can do that is about me, all about me, and to do it without apology to myself or others. It's um, it's an hour where I don't look at a cell phone message, a text message. That's what those are called, right? I don't look at a text message. I don't look at an email. A time when I make it about what does Jonathan need in this moment. And I think if we all would carve out a space daily to give ourselves something, I think we would have so much more than to give out. That's that whole concept of put the oxygen mask on yourself first, so that there you first of all have the life energy to give to help out anybody else. One of they define being selfish as concerned primarily with one's own interests, benefits, and welfare, regardless of others. Now, it takes a very special kind of, we'll say, jerk for the children, um, to where that is your pure motive. Regardless of anyone else, I am the best. That is different. That selfish act is different than self care. As we've talked about, listen, Oprah, who is my queen, she talks about that a lot. There is a difference between selfish and taking care of oneself. So, what I do, especially now when this is, I'll be honest, I am a fear based human and I try to work on that all the time. Going through something like this is scary for me, but it's not doing me any good to get lost in it. So, how can I help my brain get through that? How can I strengthen my faith, if you will, to do this? I do something. I carve an hour out of my day after work and I do something that's mine, something that's just for me. It's not writing an article, even to go somewhere out there. It's not writing a piece of a script that I'd like to do. something for me. A lot of times I'll do visualization or I'll do singing. Singing is my happy place. Singing brings me joy and peace and love and fills that well inside of me and it inspires me. I'll do that. Give myself a facial. I'll get myself a coffee. Yay. And no, I don't want anybody lecturing me or sending me emails. Coffee's so bad for you. I get it, okay? I don't have it all the time, but I do like it and it makes me smile. So thank you. Um, it's important to do those things, just like taking care of your brain, which is resting, keeping hydrated, eating healthy. This is for your soul. What would you do for your soul that has nothing to do with anyone else? How do you keep your spirit strong? How do you fill that well inside of you that keeps you going when you don't know how to do it on your own? What is going to keep that autopilot fueled and ready for those times when things are a little scarier than normal? I encourage you to find whatever it is that is just yours. Like I said, I take time for myself. It's all about me. I'll have a coffee that's mine. I'll take myself on what I call an artist date. Um, and that's a walk in a garden. That's vegetable gardening, which I love so much. It's singing. It's all of those things. Find one thing. One thing. If that's all you can do right now, give yourself permission for one thing. The thing about permission is the more you exercise self permission for self care, the easier it will be. And you're going to have to get over the guilt. There's no reason to feel guilty for taking care of yourself. It's actually better for you and everyone around you and those that you love if you do take care of yourselves. So I would suggest that. Um, keep tuning in as I keep wanting to talk. Send me questions. If you have questions, you can send them to my Facebook. You can send them to management@jonathansheffield.com. Love to talk about what you guys are thinking. But what I'm talking about are new things. Um, Stay tuned in the very near future, hopefully next week, when I'm going to be talking to a comedian in Los Angeles about keeping humor alive in times when maybe it seems a little challenging. I love talking to comedians about how they survived 9/11. Probably one of the hardest times that we had in the US for comedians where they wanted to be funny, but you didn't know what funny was anymore, and you didn't know where the line of humor and comedy was going to be. Now is a time of fear, and fear is the enemy of comedy. It steals comedy. So what happens? So I want to talk to. I'm going to start doing interviews like this across the airwaves since we can't meet in person and talk about laughing through it and the healing effects of laughter. I want to give you positive things. As I've said a million times, I don't come at this because I'm a master of all, I'm a guru. No, I'm a guy that struggles every single day with being the person I want to be and then the fear dragging down this person that I am right now. But I'm stubborn and I don't give up that easy. So I keep fighting back. Wish me luck with this. I go in today, appointment number 4. We're hoping for more positive outcomes. Because yes, we're hoping for that. So in the meantime, while I worry about that, I will do these wonderful exercises in hopes to help me stay positive. I did want to leave you with one thought, with a quote because I love quotes if you know me at all. And I want to say, if you undervalue who you are, the world will follow suit. The more you don't give yourself the credit and the priority that you are as a human being, the more the world will devalue you as well. So keep that in mind as you do these things. I wish you nothing but love and prosperity and all the good things out there in the world. But the other thing is, we're in this together. So reach out, say hello. I would love to talk to any of you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until then, this is just what I'm thinking right now. So I'm glad we could talk.